They said no man could survive when two empires turned against him. They were right. Almost. I'm Aidan Blackwell, the man who built an empire from nothing and watched it burn to ashes. But before you judge me, hear my story. Because every betrayal has a price, and I made sure they all paid theirs. Subscribe to Mafia Hidden Dairy, where every secret has a heartbeat. The smell of gasoline still clings to my jacket. Sharp, bitter, familiar, the kind that tells you you've survived something you weren't supposed to. I pressed my hand against the wound on my side, blood seeping through my fingers. The warehouse lights flickered like dying stars above me. Shadows danced across the floor, and among them, faces I used to trust. Marcus. I could barely form his name. My voice cracked like glass. You're really gonna do this? Marcus Kane, my right hand, my brother in everything but blood, stepped out from behind a steel pillar, gun in hand. His face was blank, unreadable, but his eyes, they were filled with something I'd never seen before. Fear. He shook his head slowly. You broke the code, Ethan, I laughed, coughing blood. The code? Don't talk to me about codes. You broke into my home, shot my men, and you're pointing a gun at me because someone told you to? He took a deep breath. It's not just me. Everyone's in. The Callahans, the Black Docks, O'Haras. They all want you gone. My chest tightened. All of them? He nodded once. Someone united them. The air turned cold. The silence between us was heavier than the gun in his hand. Who? I asked. He looked away. You don't want to know? I gritted my teeth. Tell me, Marcus. He hesitated, then whispered, They said you've become too big, too dangerous. Someone had to balance the scales. I tried to stand, but pain ripped through me. And you agreed to it? After everything we built, he stared down. You think I had a choice? I wanted to scream at him, to remind him of the nights we spent building our empire from nothing. The loyalty, the blood, the promise that none of us would ever bow. But before I could speak, the echo of boots filled the air. 3 figures appeared from the far side of the warehouse. One of them, a kid I barely recognized, lifted a shotgun. Marcus stepped back. I'm sorry, Ethan. Sorry? I spat. You just put a bullet in the only man who ever gave you power. The kid fired. The blast threw me back against a crate. My ears rang. My body burned. Marcus turned away. Make it clean, he said, voice trembling. They walked off, leaving me bleeding in the dark. The sound of their footsteps faded into nothing. For a moment, all I could hear was the slow drip of blood hitting the concrete. I don't know how long I lay there. Minutes. Maybe hours. My mind replayed everything. Every handshake, every deal, every smile that hid a knife behind it. I'd built the Ward Syndicate from the ground up. And now, it was gone. My chest rose and fell shallowly. The metallic taste of blood filled my mouth. Then I heard a voice, weak, raspy, from somewhere nearby. Ethan. I turned my head. One of the shooters was on the floor, dying. A fragment of shrapnel lodged in his chest. He looked barely 20. His eyes were glassy, his lips trembling. I crawled closer. Who sent you? He gasped for air. You shouldn't have trusted her. Who? I demanded. He coughed, blood staining his teeth. She started it all. My heart froze. Who, damn it? He smiled, a small, broken smile. Isabella. Then he went still. For a long moment, I didn't breathe. My body forgot how Isabella Cross. The name hit me like another bullet. No, I whispered. That's impossible. She died 2 years ago. Burned alive in a car explosion outside Manchester. I'd buried what was left of her. I'd stood over her grave, and now some dying kid was telling me she started all this? My fingers tightened into fists. Every heartbeat felt like fire. Marcus had said someone united the gangs. Someone with the kind of leverage that could bend even the O'Haras. Someone who knew my moves, my men, my weaknesses, and Isabella. She had known them all. My head spun. Images of her laughter, her perfume, her promises, they all came flooding back. I'd loved her once. I'd have burned the city for her, and maybe she knew that. I dragged myself up, leaning against a steel post. My blood left a trail behind me. Somewhere outside, the city hummed like nothing had changed. But I had. I limped to the door, each step heavier than the last. The warehouse doors creaked open, revealing the cold night sky, scattered stars above an empty dockyard. I whispered to myself, if she's alive, she'll wish she wasn't. The words felt like ash in my mouth. A wind blew through the open door, lifting dust and smoke into the air. The same wind that once carried her laughter. I looked down at the blood on my hands, mine and theirs, and smiled bitterly. Kings bleed too. But the difference between me and them? I don't die easy. When I woke, everything hurt. My ribs, my side, my head. Even breathing felt like swallowing fire. A dim light buzzed overhead. I was lying on a cot that smelled like disinfectant and rust. The walls were peeling. There was a faint hum of generators somewhere nearby. Then a voice said quietly, "You really don't die easy, do you?" I turned my head and saw him, Liam Graves. Stubble, tired eyes, medical gloves stained with someone else's blood. Once he patched up my men after street fights. Then he vanished when the war started. "Liam," I croaked. "You still picking up strays?" He gave me a dry look. "You're not a stray. You're a walking bounty." I pushed myself up, groaning. "How bad?" He handed me a glass of water. 2 million. Dead or alive. Every gang from Bristol to Birmingham's chasing your ghost. I let out a low whistle. Guess I should be flattered. Liam didn't laugh. "You should be buried. Ethan, you've got to disappear. Leave the country. Let it go. Disappear?" I scoffed. "They took everything from me. My men, my city, my name," he sighed. "You can't fight the Alliance. Not this time." "Then I'll burn it down from the inside," I said, staring at the cracked ceiling. Liam stepped closer. "You're bleeding out, barely standing, and you're talking about revenge?" I looked at him. "You think I can just walk away? After what they did? After who they sent?" His brow furrowed. "Who?" I hesitated. "Isabella." He froze. "Isabella Cross?" "Ethan, she's dead?" I cut him off. That's what I thought too. Until one of the shooters whispered her name before dying. Liam blinked, his voice low. "That's impossible." I saw the reports. Her car exploded. "Yeah," I said quietly. "And I buried her." But someone dug her back up. Silence filled the room. The kind that carries ghosts. Finally, Liam said, "If she's alive, she's not the same person you knew." I laughed bitterly. "You think I don't know that?" He turned away, rummaging through a cabinet. "I'm patching you up, giving you antibiotics, and then you're leaving." "That's my deal." I watched him in the dim light. Steady hands. Same calm he always had when patching bullet holes. "You're wasting your time," I muttered. He glanced back. "So are you." I leaned back against the wall, memories crawling in like smoke. Her voice still echoed in my head. "Don't fight wars you can't win, Ethan." She said that the night before she died. Or the night before I thought she did. We met in a poker club. She was the dealer. Sharp smile, sharp mind, sharper eyes. Within a week, she was more than that. She became my strategist, my confidant, my undoing. She knew every detail about the syndicate, where we moved cash, who we paid, who we feared. I told myself it was trust, but maybe it was stupidity dressed as love. And now she was the one pulling the trigger. Liam was checking my pulse when I said, "I need a phone." He frowned. "You're not calling anyone." "I'm calling Noah," I said. "He owes me." Liam shook his head. "Noah Trent?" He vanished after the raids. "Probably dead or worse." "He's not," I said. "He's too smart for that." Liam muttered something under his breath but handed me a burner phone anyway. "You've got 1 minute before I cut you off." I dialed a number I hadn't used in years. Static, then a voice. "Ethan?" I grinned. "Miss me, Noah?" There was a pause. "Bloody hell, man!" "You're supposed to be dead." "Yeah, well, death got bored." "Where the hell are you calling from?" "Doesn't matter," I said. "Listen, I need you to intercept communications between the gangs. Something big's moving. I want to know who's behind it." "You already know who's behind it," he said quietly. My silence answered for me. He sighed. "I'll see what I can dig up. But if Isabella Cross is really alive..." "Ethan, you're in deeper trouble than ever." I hung up. Liam was staring at me. "Cornwall," I said. "He's in Cornwall." Liam crossed his arms. "So you're going after her?" I stood slowly, testing my strength. "No, not yet. Then what?" "I'm going to find out why." Hours later, the burner buzzed. Noah's voice came through, rushed and uneasy. "Ethan, I've got something. You might want to sit down. Talk." I decrypted gang comms from the last 72 hours. All routed through the same channel. Whose channel? Interpol. The word hit like a punch. I frowned. "You're saying she's working with Interpol?" "No," Noah said. She's feeding them. Every gang move, every shipment, every dirty name. She's playing both sides. I felt the blood drain from my face. She's building an empire, I whispered. Using us as pawns, and Interpol as her shield. Noah's voice softened. Ethan, walk away. Whatever she's doing, it's bigger than revenge. I stared out the cracked window at the dark streets beyond. That's the thing, Noah. I'm not walking away. You'll die for this. Maybe, I said quietly. But not before I make her remember who taught her the game. I ended the call and looked at Liam. He was shaking his head slowly. You're going to get yourself killed. Maybe, I said, pulling on my jacket. But ghosts don't stay dead, Liam, not hers. And not mine. The night outside was cold and sharp. Somewhere, far away, I could almost hear her laughter again. Soft, mocking, familiar. I whispered to the empty street. You started this, Isabella. But I'll finish it, and with that, I disappeared into the dark. The ballroom glittered like sin wrapped in gold. Champagne, laughter, and lies, all blending under the chandeliers. Every face in that room was one I used to own. Now they belonged to her. From the mezzanine, I watched Isabella Cross smile, calm, radiant, untouchable. She moved through the crowd like a queen among thieves, her red dress slicing through the dark like blood on snow. Target sighted, Noah's voice buzzed through the earpiece. You sure about this? No, I murmured. But I'm done running. Security's tight, Ethan. O'Hara's men are crawling everywhere. If she sees you, she'll remember. I killed the line. Some things needed no commentary. I slipped through the side corridor, blending with waiters in white gloves. My reflection in the silver trays looked like a ghost wearing a borrowed suit. 2 years of hell, and she was still breathing. Still smiling. And the worst part, she looked happy. At the bar, she leaned toward Declan O'Hara, whispering something that made him laugh. The same man who'd tried to shoot me twice. I clenched my jaw. Laugh while you can, sweetheart. Then she turned. Our eyes met. For a heartbeat, time stopped. Music blurred. Voices vanished. Her lips curved into a faint smirk. She lifted her glass slightly, a silent toast, then mouthed, "Took you long enough." My breath caught. Minutes later, I followed her into the garden terrace, empty, quiet except for the hum of distant violins. She was waiting by the fountain, arms crossed, the moonlight painting her face in silver. 2 years, she said softly. You really do hold a grudge. I buried you, I hissed. Watched your car burn, she smiled faintly. You always did fall for theatrics. Don't play games with me, Isabella. You had me shot, betrayed, hunted. I saved your life. That stopped me cold. You what? She took a step closer. If I hadn't faked that explosion, Marcus would have put a bullet in your skull. He needed you gone, Marcus. My voice cracked with disbelief. He was my brother. He was your executioner, she said. And he's the reason every gang in this city turned on you. I shook my head. No, you were seen with them. With the O'Haras, the Callahans, because I built it, she interrupted. The alliance, the meetings, the facade, all of it, to lure Marcus out. Her words hit like gunfire. You expect me to believe that? I don't care what you believe, she said quietly. But you need to know the truth before it's too late. I laughed bitterly. Truth? You think that word still means something between us? She sighed. You were framed, Ethan. That massacre on the Devon docks, the family that was killed, Marcus made it look like you ordered it. He sent footage, forged orders, paid witnesses. He turned everyone against you. My hands shook. That's impossible. I know. Her voice broke, and for the first time I saw something raw behind her eyes. I spent months gathering proof, she said. Interpol believed me when no one else would. That's why I'm working with them. Not to destroy you, but to clear you. I stared at her, the rage inside me twisting into something colder. So all this was for you, she whispered. My chest tightened. You could have told me. You would have gone to war, she said. And Marcus would have killed you before I could finish this. Don't act like you still care. She stepped closer, close enough that I could feel her breath. I never stopped. The air thickened. Every lie, every scar, every ghost between us burned away for one fragile second. Then Noah's voice cracked through my earpiece, sharp, panicked. Ethan. Get out of there! Now! I froze. Why? Thermal spike. Something's wrong with the building sensors. There's... The explosion cut him off. The world went white. Glass shattered. Fire roared. Bodies flew like broken wings. I hit the ground hard, ears ringing, lungs full of smoke. Isabella! I coughed, crawling through debris. Flames tore through the ceiling. People screamed. Then I saw her, pinned under a steel beam, blood streaking down her arm. I staggered toward her, ignoring the fire licking at my jacket. She tried to push me away. Go before it collapses. Not leaving you again, I shouted, gripping the beam and heaving with everything left in me. It moved an inch, then another. She gasped, trembling. Marcus, he found out. The roof groaned above us. I dragged her free and pulled her into my arms. You're staying with me, do you hear? She smiled faintly through the blood. Still the same. Stubborn fool. Shut up, I muttered, carrying her through the wreckage. Behind us, the ballroom crumbled into flame. Screams turned to silence. Outside, cold air hit my face as I staggered into the courtyard. Firelight painted the night sky. Liam's car screeched to a stop. Ethan, get in! I laid her gently in the back seat. Her eyes fluttered open. He's coming for you, she whispered. Marcus won't stop. I gripped her hand. Then neither will I. The car tore down the road, leaving the burning mansion behind. In the rearview mirror, I saw her close her eyes. Stay with me, I said quietly. Her lips curved into a faint smile. Took you long enough. The flames faded into the distance, but I knew this wasn't over. Marcus Kane had declared war, and this time I wasn't running. The sea wind cut through the rusted metal walls of the shipping yard. Salt, smoke, silence. I parked the car between two containers, killed the headlights, and exhaled the breath I'd been holding since the explosion. Isabella groaned softly beside me, pale but breathing. Her arm was bandaged with my torn shirt. You sure this place is safe? Noah's voice crackled through the comm. As safe as a graveyard, I said. That's all we've got. Marcus is moving fast. He's claiming the whole city. Then he'll choke on it. I ended the call and lifted Isabella out of the car. The smell of rust and seaweed wrapped around us. Inside the warehouse, moonlight bled through broken windows. Put me down, she murmured weakly. Shut up and let me save your life. Again? She tried to smile. We're keeping score now? Yeah, I said, setting her on a makeshift cot. You're losing. For a while, there was only the sound of waves and her shallow breathing. I checked the gun on the table, reloaded, cleaned the blood from my hands. You've changed, she whispered. So have you. No, she said, eyes half open. You're colder now, harder. Good, I said flatly. That's what keeps people alive. She studied me quietly. You think revenge will fix what Marcus broke? No, I said, staring out at the fog rolling over the water. But it'll make sure he never does it again. Later that night, as the rain started tapping the metal roof, she spoke again. I heard the others died, she said. They didn't die, I said. They were slaughtered. You can't save ghosts, Ethan. I'm not trying to save them, I said. I'm avenging them. She looked at me for a long time, her voice trembling. Revenge won't bring back who we were. I turned toward her, eyes cold. It's not about who we were. It's about who they made me. The next morning I was on the phone nonstop, calling old debts, collecting favors that should have stayed buried. Noah, I said, pacing. What's the word on the docks? Marcus took the Callahan territory. The rest are folding under him. He's building something big. He's always been a builder, I muttered. Built lies, built power, built me into his weapon. What's the play? I'm gathering everyone left. I'll need arms, transport, clean IDs, no questions. That'll cost a fortune. Then I'll sell my soul again, I said. Isabella watched me as I hung up. You're planning a war. I'm ending one. And if you die, then at least Marcus burns with me. She tried to sit up, wincing. You're not that man anymore, Ethan. Then who am I? She hesitated, tears glinting in her eyes. Someone I used to love. I didn't respond. The silence between us was heavier than gunfire. By nightfall, Noah arrived, hoodie soaked, laptop under his arm. Got what you wanted, he said, setting it on the table. Maps, routes, arms dealer list. But you're not going to like what I found. Try me. He hesitated. Marcus isn't just building an army. He's consolidating every gang under a single rule. He calls it the New Order, I smirked. A kingdom built in smoke. Noah frowned. He's planning to take out the police, the politicians, anyone who ever took your side. Then I'll cut off his head before it starts. You really think Isabella's ready for this? He asked quietly. She's not part of it, I said. Does she know that? I didn't answer. Later, after Noah left, Isabella sat by the window, staring out at the black waves. You really think you can win? She asked softly. I don't need to win, I said. I just need him to lose. She turned toward me, voice trembling. And what if Marcus kills you first? What happens then? You think vengeance will protect your soul? I poured whiskey into a cracked glass. My soul died 2 years ago. Her eyes filled. Then let me help you find it. I looked at her. Fragile, fierce. The only ghost I still wanted near me. You already did, I whispered. She smiled faintly. Then stop running toward death. I'm not running, I said. I'm hunting. Hours passed. She finally fell asleep. The soft rhythm of her breathing filling the room. I sat in the corner, laptop open, scrolling through Noah's data, coordinates, shipments, names. Then something caught my eye, a file labeled Tracking Logs. I opened it. My heartbeat slowed, multiple pings, same pattern. Always near me. Noah, I whispered through the comm. You tracking me? He sounded confused. No, why? Because someone is. I checked my jacket, patting every seam. Then I felt it, a small bump near the inner lining, a microchip. The blood in my veins turned to ice. Noah. Talk to me, Ethan. She planted it. Who? I looked over at Isabella, asleep on the cot, the moonlight soft against her face. Her, I said quietly. She tracked me. They're already coming, he cursed. Get out of there, now! I grabbed my gun, my keys, my fury. For a second I almost woke her, almost. Then I stopped. If she betrayed me again, she wouldn't live to explain it. And if she didn't, she'd still be caught in the crossfire. Either way, the kingdom was already burning. I stepped into the fog, feeling the weight of everything I'd lost pressing against my ribs. The sea roared like a warning. My phone buzzed. One last message from Noah. They're here. I looked back at the warehouse, the dim light flickering through broken glass. Then let it burn, I whispered, and walked into the storm. The Bristol dock smelled like salt, gasoline, and ghosts. Midnight fog curled around the cranes and cargo like smoke from an old wound. This was where it started, and where it would end. Noah's voice crackled through my earpiece. You sure about this, Ethan? Never been less sure, I said, chambering around. But it's the only way. Marcus has half the city with him. Then half the city dies tonight. I stepped out of the shadows, coat whipping in the wind. The dock lights flickered. Silhouettes of men lined the pier, guns gleaming under the amber glow. And in the middle, Marcus Kane, wearing that same crooked smile that once meant brotherhood. He raised his hand. Ethan Ward, the ghost himself. Marcus, I said, my voice steady. You took my family, my crew, my city, he grinned. And you took my future. We're even. Not yet. Gunfire cracked through the night. I dove behind a container, bullets shredding metal inches from my head. Noah's voice cut through the static. Backup's 5 minutes out. I don't have 5 minutes, I yelled, firing back. Men dropped, smoke rising from the docks. The air was chaos, screams, fire, the metallic taste of vengeance. Then I saw her, Isabella, running through the smoke. Ethan. She screamed. What the hell are you doing here? I shouted, ending this. She ducked behind me, blood on her sleeve. Marcus won't stop. He's already... A shot rang out. The container behind us exploded in sparks. I pulled her down. Stay behind me! I'm not leaving you again. Marcus stepped into the open, his gun lowered, his smirk cruel. Touching reunion. Too bad it ends here. Let her go, Marcus. Oh, she's not my prisoner, he said, eyes glinting. She's your punishment. He nodded to one of his men. A sniper rifle gleamed on a rooftop. I saw the flash before I heard the sound. Then, Isabella shoved me hard. The bullet hit her chest. No! I caught her as she fell, warmth spilling through my hands. Her eyes trembled. You weren't supposed to... Stay with me, I said. You hear me? Stay Marcus laughed, a sound like broken glass. You built your empire on loyalty, and now loyalty kills you. I laid Isabella down, stood up slowly, gun shaking in my hand. You shouldn't have said that. He raised his weapon, but I was faster. 3 shots. 1 to the leg, 1 to the shoulder. The last, the same spot he'd shot me years ago. Marcus fell to his knees, coughing blood, still grinning. You think this ends with me? I stepped closer, pressing the barrel to his forehead. Kings don't fall, I whispered. They rebuild. I pulled the trigger. The docks burned. The sea reflected orange fire and red sky. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. I dropped my gun and went back for her. Isabella was still breathing, barely. Ethan, she whispered, voice thin as air. You always wanted peace. Don't talk, she smiled faintly. Now, you can have it. Her hand slipped from mine. I froze. No tears, no screams. Just the hollow quiet of a man watching his last reason fade away. The first rays of dawn broke over the harbor. I carried her to the edge of the pier, the water below turning gold. Noah arrived with flashing lights behind him. Ethan, put the gun down! I turned to him slowly. It's over. He looked at Isabella, his voice breaking. Christ, Ethan. She saved me, I said quietly, like she always did. The police surrounded us. I didn't fight, didn't speak, just laid her down gently and raised my hands. As the cuffs clicked around my wrists, I looked at the smoke curling over the water. My empire, gone. My enemies, dead. My heart, buried with her. They tried to erase me, I said, my voice low, steady. But legends don't disappear. They just become the stories people whisper about in the dark. They shoved me into the back of the police car. The door slammed shut. The engine started. Through the window, the docks still burned, the city's last light dying under the rising sun. For a moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Then my phone, confiscated but still recording, buzzed against Marcus's fallen body. Screen cracked and flickering, a message appeared. Phase 2, activate the syndicate protocol. The screen glowed red, reflecting off the blood-stained pier. I looked out the window as the car pulled away. The fire was still burning, and deep inside I knew this wasn't the end. It never is.